what I'm doing is a comparison between the mixdown from an X32 rack and a mixdown from Pro Tools. So what I did first was I printed 30 tracks of white noise and 30 tracks of 80 Hertz. I use the 80 Hertz just because it's easier to check the phase. And so I sent all these 30 tracks into the X32 and recorded the master bus, the left and right channel. And I did the same for the white noise and for the 80 Hertz. And then I also bounced the 30 tracks at unity gain also in Pro Tools for the white noise and for the 80 Hertz version. And then when you sum both of them, I'll show you. You're going to hear white noise, of course. And if I flip the phase on one of them, it's gonna null, as you can see. I'll show you again on span. This is the white noise, and this is the null version. Same thing for the 80 Hertz. This is the 80 Hertz. And this is the summing of both with one of them with the phase flipped. Okay, so they null, but I'm going to show you something else. If I increase the range here, and it goes down to minus 180 dB, you can tell there's something in there. It hits minus 144, which is extremely quiet. Same thing for the bit lower for the 80 Hertz. But then what I did also for testing was I recorded the summing with no inputs on the card on the X32. So I'm not sending any signal, and I record the summing of just the inner noise, the noise floor, and this is what shows up. So it's exactly the same if you hear the 80 Hertz or the returning signal of nothing going in the X32. And I also changed it for local inputs because I'm sending the signal through the USB card. So I changed the inputs on the X32 for the local inputs, all at 0 dB gain. And this comes up, which is the noise floor from the preamps, and it's hitting minus 108 at 24K. You can see it's really quiet actually. But if you go through the card, this is the result. So my conclusion is there's no difference in summing between the DAW and the X32 except for the actual noise floor of the X32, which is pretty quiet. So I wanted to do this test because I wanted to see if there was actually a difference between mixing on an X32 or an M32 or any other mixer. Because I'm using Live Professor for processing. I'm not using the processing on the mixer. So what I think is, yeah, it makes no difference as long as I'm not using the converters or the preamps on different mixers. What I mean is the inner mixdown, the inner summing of the mixer is not a variable to be considered. Okay, so let me know your thoughts. Thank you. And I decided to do another test. And the difference on this one is that processing is on X32, so all the gates and dynamics and EQs are on, although the gates and the dynamics threshold is not being hit, and the EQ is flat. So it's just processing on just to check if there's any difference on the summing. And the result is this. So this is the white noise, and this is the result with processing on, and this is processing off. So processing off, as we've seen before, it hits about minus 156 dB at 24K, and this is processing on. So it's a bit different. The resulting signal of the null goes up to 137, something like that, minus 137 dB. And same thing for the 80 Hertz test, the sine wave. You can see there's some harmonics going on, but this is the one with the processing on, and this is processing off. So processing off, there's no harmonics. Processing on, there's some harmonics, but it's still very quiet. It's below minus 124 dB. So yes, there is a difference, but I think it's still too quiet to be considered in a practical or a live application. Okay, thank you, and let me know your thoughts.